Hello and thank you for purchasing this course. In this video I'll tell you how you can use it and what to expect in the few next hours. First of all, the course is created from the short lessons. In each lesson you will learn how to use different tools and how to color correct your images. For better experience, I recommend you to watch the lessons one after other and don't skip them, because you will not understand some fundamentals if you just watch the first one, then you go to the 19th one and you go so forth. So after completing this course, you will know how to use Lightroom, how to color correct your images, how to achieve a natural nice color, how to adjust the color temperature, to add sharpening to your images, how to import and export them. I will tell you about different file formats and so on. So after completing this course, you will know everything you need about Adobe Lightroom CC and you'll be ready to color correct your images and just publish them to the web. I've personally taught more than 500 students offline and more than a few thousands online. So most part of my students became very comfortable with working with their own images, and now they can create any look and any feel in image they want. And after completing this course, you will know how to do exactly the same. So good luck and let's continue. First of all, this course is all about Adobe Lightroom. I will just tell you from A to Z every part about this program. We'll start with importing your images. After that, I'll show you how to sort them, how to make like star ratings, flagging and so on. After what, you will know how to find them really easily on your hard drive, and it will help you to save a lot of time. When you sort your images, we'll move to the next step. This is the develop module, where you will know how to color correct your images, retouch them and work with adjustment brush. This is the fundamentals of working with any picture, because with color you can create every single mood you want. If you want like a scary picture, you can make it colder. If you want some lovely and warm picture, you can just make it really soft and warm, and the viewer who will see this picture will definitely like it and understand it better just with the color. So color is our first tool to create the mood in your images. But after that you will know how to export the images, save them right in the right color profile, how to resize your images for the web or for the print and so on. Everything about Lightroom you will learn in this course, but also I want to tell you that I have two different courses. One about Photoshop, which contains more than 30 lessons about working with actions, which will help you to speed up your workflow working with pictures in Photoshop. So after you complete this course, I definitely recommend you to start for the next one and work with Photoshop actions. It will speed up your workflow and give you a new ways and perspectives on editing your photos. And also I have a course about promoting yourself. If you want to start or you already started commercial photography and you want to earn money on it, it will be a great decision for you to start my course about promoting you as a photographer. So that's all for now, and let's continue and move to Adobe Lightroom. Hello guys, my name is Justin Kompaniec and welcome to the first video of Learn Lightroom CC course on Udemy. In this lesson we will talk about the Lightroom catalogs and how to start with Lightroom. First of all, we need to double-click on the application icon on our desktop and Lightroom starts. After that, we see the default catalog is created automatically, or sometimes Lightroom can ask you like what you want to do. So let's create it from the beginning. First of all, we go to File and choose New Catalog. After that, we need to choose the destination where we want to create our catalog. I put all my catalogs and photos to one folder inside Dropbox, but you can choose it to your own. So let's go to Photo, then I go to Catalogs, and here I can type the name like Udemy Catalog. After I give it a name, let's click Create. We need to wait just for a few seconds, and a new catalog is created for us, and we can see it right here. Let's go back to Explorer and see where it is situated. As you can see here, Lightroom created a new folder, Udemy Catalog, and inside this folder we have a few files. The first folder is named Lightroom Settings. It stores all the settings we will use inside the Lightroom, but for now I will not talk much about it. The next folder is called previews.lr-data. This folder will store all our previews. Previews is a small duplicate of images of every photo we have, just to preview it inside Lightroom, and this folder will grow up from time to time, so you can clean up it when you need free space on your hard drive. And next you can see like Udemy catalog.lrcat. It means our catalog file. Here we can see also two other files. They are just locked, so we cannot change anything here. When Lightroom is opened, you can see these two files. When you close it, you will see just your catalog, your previews folder, and your settings folder. Let's go back to Lightroom. Here inside Lightroom we can see that we are ready for begin, and Lightroom asks us to click import button to begin. So let's talk about this in the next video. In this video, I'll show you how we can set up our Lightroom preferences before we begin with importing photos. To do that, let's go to the Edit. If you are on PC or if you are on Mac, just choose the Lightroom button on the top menu. And let's go to Preferences. As you can see, there is a lot of preferences. I'll try to explain it to you the fastest as I can. The first, we can choose the language in which we work. By the default, this is English. After that, you can switch off the splash screen during startup. When you launch Lightroom, you see the splash screen appears, so you can just turn it off. And this check mark means that Lightroom will automatically check for updates and ask you if you want to install them. Next, we choose the default catalog, which is loading while you start Lightroom. You can choose your new catalog. By now this is Udemy catalog. Or you can choose to load most recent catalog or prompt when you start Lightroom. I recommend you to choose load the most recent catalog. After that, let's move to the import options. This checkmark means when you insert your card reader to your computer, when you connect it, Lightroom will start up and ask you to import photos. I recommend you to turn it off because sometimes it is so annoying and you just don't want to do that. But if you want, you can check it up. The next is to show Add Photos screen. That means when you connect card reader to your computer, Lightroom will automatically show you the Add Photos screen, about which we will talk in the next lessons. Next, you can choose select the current or previous import collection during import. It means like when you imported some images before, Lightroom can just show you this current and previous import preview. The next check marks means ignore camera generated folder names. I recommend you to leave it as is, and Lightroom will not ignore these camera-generated folder names. And this last, treat JPEG next to RAW files as separate photos means that if you have camera RAW file and the JPEG one, Lightroom will show it as two separate files. But if you don't check it, Lightroom will show these photos, this same but different format photos, as one single file. Here in completion sounds you can turn on or off some sound effects after some kind of job is completed. I recommend you just use no sound, so it will not disturb you. You can also reset all warning dialogues, and here in this button go to catalog settings tab. We can go to catalog settings, but let's wait for a sec and I'll show it a little bit later. Now let's move to the presets tab. Here in presets tab we can just choose the default develop settings like apply auto tone, apply auto mix, make defaults, and make defaults specific to camera serial number and ISO. I recommend just not check these marks except the second one. The second check mark will auto convert your image to black and white, and Lightroom do it really nice. And you can also reset all the default develop settings. Next, the location of your catalog and presets folder. I recommend you to store presets with your catalog. It will appear in the same folder where your catalog is situated on your hard drive, and you will never mess up finding some Lightroom files or presets or other stuff Lightroom creates for you. And also you can click here just to see where it is situated, and it shows you your default Lightroom catalog, which is named Udemy catalog folder I showed you in the previous lesson. Next tab, it just gives us an opportunity to restore all defaults, like restore presets, restore color labels, and so on. If you change something inside Lightroom in the develop or library model, here you can just reset it to its default settings. Let's move to other tab. This is external editing. Here we can choose the file format for editing in external programs like Photoshop, and by default you need to use TIFF, ProPhoto RGB, 16-bit, and resolution can be 240 with a zip compression. This is the best and recommended choice for preserving color details from Lightroom, as Lightroom says here. And also you can create some additional preferences for external editors, not for Photoshop, if you use some other. Also, here is the stacking options like stack with original. I recommend you to turn it on. It means that it will stack all photos in one stack with the original one. And here you can edit the external file name. When you edit some photos and Lightroom save it to this file format like TIFF, it will give some custom name. You can choose name like this, untitled 12 of 10, or some other preferences, or you can go to edit, and here in edit you can use these rules to create your own naming for files, and click done. I'm okay with this, and let's move further. Let's go to file handling. In file handling, actually you don't need to change anything. This is the import DNG creation preference, and by default it's set OK, the latest camera raw, and you can just update the JPEG preview to full size. If you have fast computer, it will be okay, but if your computer slows down, sometimes you can check the medium size or none, and it will work faster. Also, you can embed fast load data. I recommend you to check this. And the embed original raw file, this check mark, you can check it off. And you can turn off the embed original raw file, but by default it's set like this. The import DNG creation, it means that if you want to store your files in DNG, you can use these settings. But I will not teach you to do that, because to work with raw files or with JPEG is much more easier. Next, let's move to reading metadata. We shouldn't change here anything except the locations for our cache settings, for camera raw cache and for video cache. You can choose the folder where you want your cache to be stored. I recommend you to use the separate hard drive for it, or you can store it anywhere. Just don't forget to purge cache from time to time to free up your space on hard drive. And the same rule applies to video cache settings. Now let's move to interface. Here we can change like our default panels. We can add the flourishes like that. If you want it to be more fancy, you can change the font size if you want your letters to be bigger. Also, we can set how dark or bright our theme of Lightroom looks like. We can just set it to some kind of dim level, like 70% or 50%. Actually, these lights out dialog boxes, they apply when you are working with lights out mode. I will show you it in the next lessons. We can choose the background behind our photos. And after that, let's move to the film strip. Here in film strip, we can show badges or ignore clicks on badges. I also show you it in the next lessons. And the tweaks, if I check this box, zoom click point to center, it will zoom where I click my mouse to center that point like the center of the image. This is really handy, so I recommend you to check this box. And use system preference for font smoothing. I don't actually use it, but you can try if you have some font issues. Next, let's go to performance. Here we can use our graphics processor to speed up our workflow. I recommend you to check this box. And you can join your account, your Lightroom mobile account, to sync your Lightroom and Lightroom mobile if you want to. And the last one is proxy server settings. If you're using your proxy, you can just type here your username and password. That's it for settings. As you can see, we hadn't changed a lot, but now you know what they mean and how to use them. And now let's move to catalog settings. I'll talk about the settings in the next video. In this video, let's talk about catalog settings. To go catalog settings, we need to go to preferences, and after that click here on this tab, go to catalog settings. or I can just go to Edit, Catalog Settings. And here we go. Now we are in catalog settings. Actually, catalog settings show us where our catalog is located. This is the destination. You can click here on this Show tab and you will see it in your Explorer. Also, we see the file name, the date when we created our catalog, the last backup date. I hadn't created a backup yet, but in the future you will see it. And the last time your catalog was optimized, and actually its size in megabytes. By adding a new photos, your catalog will grow up, and actually it can be like 100 or more megabytes. So I recommend from time to time to optimize your catalog. I will show you how to do it in a second, and it will speed up your workflow and reduce your file size of your catalog. Also, we can choose how often we want to back up our catalog, like once a week or once a month or never. I recommend you that like Lightroom will ask you every time you exit, so you can choose every time Lightroom exits. If you click this, every time you will exit Lightroom, you will quit it, Lightroom will ask you like, you want to backup catalog or no? So you can just choose yes or no. This is handy because sometimes you forget to do it, and this is like a friendly reminder from Lightroom. Next, let's go to File Handling tab. Here we can see the preview cache. What size of cache of previews we want to generate for our photos. The standard preview size is 1920 pixels. The standard preview size is auto, it's 1920 pixels, and you can make it like 2880 pixels if you use a Retina display or 4K display or something like that. I actually use like the first setting, the default one, and it works fine. The next is the preview quality. If you have a faster computer, you can choose high. It will definitely create a much higher resolution preview and you will see more details. But if your computer is not so fast, it sometimes slows down, you can choose the low or medium. And automatically discard one-to-one previews. I recommend you to choose it for 30 days or for 1 week. What does it mean? After you add new images to Lightroom, all the time Lightroom will reduce this catalog size. Every time you add new photos to your catalog, Lightroom catalog is increasing in its size. By now this is 141 megabyte, but when you add like 1000 images, this catalog will grow up, and when you discard previews, this size of the catalog will reduce and you will just save some extra space on your hard drive. Actually, we see here also the information about the smart previews and the import sequence numbers. And let's go to metadata. You can offer suggestions for recently entered values. This is by default is turned on, it's okay. Include develop settings in metadata, it's also need to be turned on. And also you can choose automatically write changes into XMP. It will add some extra small size files next to your RAW files or next to your JPEG files, and all the development and adjustments you made in Lightroom will show up in other applications while you open that files, like in Photoshop or some other applications. So definitely check this up. These next settings are for GPS. They are okay, you just don't need to change something. Face detection. If you want the face detection to turn on, just put this, automatically detect faces in all photos. It will help you to just write the names of the people. And if Lightroom sees the same face on different pictures, it will tag this person, and later you can just find it on every picture you have. And write date and time changes into proprietary RAW files. It means that Lightroom will try to change your RAW files. I don't recommend to use it just for your RAW files. Be safe. And after you finished, you can click OK. But before I finish this lesson, I'll show you one really handy option. Let's go to Library, and here you can see the Previews tab. If you click Discard one-to-one previews, you can free up your space on a hard drive. It will delete all the full-size previews. And also you can discard the Smart Previews. Smart Previews are smaller in size, but they don't have such a great quality as the one-to-one previews have. And also you have like a standard-sized previews, which are also okay. So from time to time you can just discard these previews to free up your space. That's it, and let's move to the next lesson. In this lesson, I'll show you what is the difference between the RAW and the JPEG files. Let's see what we have here. I'll switch to extra large icons and let's see on this picture. We have the two similar pictures. One is in camera RAW file format and another one is in JPEG. And let's compare them in AC/DC photo viewer. I'll click twice and as you can see, this is the JPEG file. It's really good quality picture. We can see a lot of details here. And now I'll switch to RAW file. This is the same picture but in CR2. This is the RAW file. And as you can see, there is no difference. Actually, they are just the same. The RAW and the JPEG. RAW and JPEG. You can't see any difference. But let's move to Lightroom and compare them inside Lightroom. When you open images inside Lightroom, you can see that Lightroom also treats these images as a separate photos. This is because I go to my preferences and I check this treat JPEG next to RAW as separate photos. And now I can see both pictures inside Lightroom. But let's compare them. This is the JPEG and this is the camera RAW. As you can see here inside Lightroom, JPEG looks really better than the RAW. It's more detailed, more contrasty and looks really better. And the RAW file look like really dull and not interesting, not so much contrast. But let's compare them in the develop module. I'll go to the develop or click the D button and this is my RAW image. Now let's add some contrast to this image. I'll just reset it preferences. Let's compare right now. This is with the default settings, the JPEG and the camera RAW. And let's create some light. I'll switch my exposure to +1. And now I switch back to JPEG file and let's do the same. Now I move here to +1 and let's compare now. As you can see in RAW files there's too many detail. There's a lot of detail out there. So if you want to work in Lightroom with pictures and your camera gives you an ability to shoot RAW, you should definitely use it because you will have much more wider spectrum of adjustments compared to JPEG. As you can see, RAW file after adjustments look much better and you can just make it brighter, darker, add some contrast, boost color and so on. But if you work with JPEG, you cannot do in such wide range of adjustments with JPEGs. So before you import, just consider that it's better to shoot RAW than JPEG. But if you have all your pictures just in JPEG, no worries, it will be also okay for you to work with JPEGs inside Lightroom. And in the next lesson, let's move to the import dialog and see how we can import photos inside Lightroom. You are doing really great. I appreciate that you take this course so far, and in upcoming few lessons we will just give a final touch to our images and I'll teach you about some very important things you need to do to finish up your pictures. If you haven't done it yet, please leave a review on this course and let's move on to the next lesson. Congratulations, you made it so far and finished my course about Lightroom CC. In this course we learn everything from the beginning to the end steps about retouching your photos. I showed you how to import your photos, how to sort them, how to tag them. Also we know now how to color correct it with the help of white balance, hue saturation, luminance, with camera calibration and other tools which Lightroom has inside. If you have any questions on this course, you can post them in our closed Facebook group. And if you hadn't joined it yet, just send me an email and I'll give you access. Also, it will be very kind of you if you write a review on this course. I'll appreciate it because it will help me and encourage me to create new, better courses for you, and you will improve your photography skills as well. So write me a review right now and see you in the next courses. In this video, I'll make you a short overview of the library model and the Lightroom interface at all. First of all, as you can see, Lightroom have 1, 2, 3 and 4 panels. They are situated on the top, on the bottom, on the left hand side and on the right hand side. And if you move your mouse above this arrow and click it, Lightroom will collapse this panel or it will automatically open it. When you close it and you move your mouse here, Lightroom just show it while your mouse is above this panel, and when you move your mouse to any other part of Lightroom, it will automatically collapse. So you can just make your workflow bigger to see much details here on photos. You can also zoom to click on any part of image. It will automatically zoom. And if you want to open these panels, you can use shortcuts. Tab or opening or closing the left and right panel, and Shift tab to open and close all panels. The top one, the bottom one, and left-right panel. It's really handy when you're working with photos. It will speed up your workflow and is better than just scroll every time and open it and close it and so on. Also, Lightroom have a very handy feature. It is the Shift F combination. If you click Shift F, Lightroom goes to full screen. And if you click Shift F once again, Lightroom switch its interface just to occupy all your monitor area. It's really handy just for using Lightroom on big or on small monitor size, and you can just use every pixel you have. Also, you can click just the F button without Shift. It will show the photo you selected for full screen. And also Lightroom has other handy hotkey. It's letter L. If you click it once, it just dims out the light. As you can see, I can still use this interface. It became darker, but it's clickable. I can set the rating, I can switch between modules, I can go to develop, to map, and so on. And if I click the L button once again, the Lightroom dims the light totally off, and you can just see your picture on the black screen. Or you can just in preferences, as I showed you before, choose the color of dim light. It can be like gray or white or anything you like, but the black one works the best. And also, if you click on any image with the right key of your mouse, you can see all the options that you can make with this selected photo. Also, a lot of options are here up in this menu. If you just scroll your mouse up and leave it for a second, you will see it. If you want to go back from the full screen to normal screen, click Shift F, and you will see that Lightroom becomes a little smaller, and you have these controls in Windows Explorer or on Mac. That's it for now, and let's talk about creating collections in the next lesson. In this video, I'll show you how to use collections to filter our photos. For using collections, let's switch to the grid view mode. I click here or just press the J button. Now we can close this upper filter, click None, and we see all of our images here. Also, if you want to see more images, you can just collapse these left and right panels, as I showed you before, or collapse all the panels, and it will be easier for you to see more images on your screen. Now, let's talk about collections. To start using collections, you just need to open this dialog here with the collections. You can see that here is a filter. You can filter your collections, and actually Lightroom have two types of collections. The first one is just create collection. You need to select a few photos, click create collection, and name it somehow, like girl photo shoot. You can add these images inside a collection set, like smart collections, and here we have some options. We can include selected photos, that's for sure, because we selected them to add to this collection, so yes, we include them. We can make new virtual copies. Virtual copies is just a duplicate of our images, but they don't occupy extra space on your hard drive. I will talk about this a little bit later. And we can set this collection as a target collection, because we can add images without every time go to this plus button and then to click create. You can just set this collection as our target collection. We just need once created, and then when we go back to our images and I select other images, I can just click this round button here. It says add photo to a target collection. As our girl photo shoot is our target collection, if I click now here on these images, as you can see, these images are added to our target collection, and now we have like 6 images in our target collection. Now let's see what other kind of collections we have. Here in Smart Collections we have like colored, red collection. We have 5 stars, we have past months, recently modified, video, and without keywords. And also we can create our own smart collections. To do that, let's click here on this plus button and click Create Smart Collection. To create smart collection, we just need to match some criteria and to use some rules to create this kind of collections. We should name it like, let's say 3 stars. After I name it 3 stars, I click inside the collection set smart collections. It will add here inside the smart collections folder. And now we can match any, all or none of the following rules. I click all and the rating is, I can choose like is greater or equal to, and I click 3 stars. And every time, every image that have 3 stars or more will add to this collection. Now I click create, and as you can see, 2 images are added to this collection because they have 5 stars. But now if I go back and I choose any other image and add a star rating for them, let's say I'll add 2 stars. As you can see, this image doesn't go to this collection. But if I add 3 stars, 1 new image is added to this collection. Here it is. And if I click somewhere and add 4 stars, this image also add to this collection, and 5 stars do the same. How to work with ratings and with flagging I will tell you in the next lesson. In this video I'll show you how you can filter your images with the help of rating or stars, with flags or with color. To do that we have keyboard shortcuts. If I choose any image and I click 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, it will add a rating with the stars, like 1, 2, 3 or 5 star. So if I like the image, I can actually put a 5 star for it. If the image is average, I can put 3 stars, and if the image is really bad, I can put 1 star. After that, we need to be in the library module. We go here to attribute, and in attribute we can just ask Lightroom to show us all images that are greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or just equal to some number of stars. Let's say I choose rating is equal to 1 star. I can see just this image. Rating is equal to 2 stars, this image. 3 stars, we have 2 images with 3 stars. 4 star, this one, and 5 stars, just the best images we choose. Then let's go back. I click None, and now I see all my images. Also, I can sort them with flags. We have 2 shortcuts for flagging images. The first shortcut is P on keyboard. It means flag as peak. When I click it, you can see that here appears a small flag. If I click U, it means remove flag or unflag photo. So P is for flag, U is for unflag. And also we can click X on keyboard. It means to set flag as rejected. We don't like photo, so we can reject it. I personally use just flags. I never use rejected because it's easier to work with one hand. You can just put your finger on the P button, other finger on U button, and if you like photo, you can flag it. If you don't like it, you unflag it or just don't touch any button. And the third method is to give some color label to our photos. Let's say I can click 6 for red, 7 for yellow. I'll show you like this. Red, yellow, 8 for green one, and 9 for blue one. And if I click 0, it just sets rating to 0. So if you want to get rid of the color, you just need to click the same button once again and it will remove this label. So if you want to remove the red one, just click 6. If you want to add it, once again, you click 6 once again. And that's for it. So what we can do with these filters? Let's see. Let's say I want to choose some photos. I'll now click on flag all of them and to get rid of rating. Yeah, let's see. I choose the first image. I actually don't like it. The first time I scroll through the images, I just use the P button. If I like the image, I click P for flagging it. This is just for the first time. I definitely like this one. I like this picture, and let's say I like this one. Let's go back to the grid view mode. Now I go to attributes, and here in attributes I just reset the rating and I click show me all the pictures I flagged. Now Lightroom show me these pictures I flagged. This is 5 photos, 5 of 66. Let's say I want now to select just 3 photos of all this series. So now I click once again on the first photo, and on the best one I can click 5 star. I click 5, then I go to the next one, I can click 4, here I can click also 4, here I click, let's say, 5. Now I go back to the grid view mode or click the G button, and now I click show me all photos which are greater or equal of 5 stars. And now I have 2 images. And to choose from these 2 images I can use like a red label, and I'll choose the first one with red label. This is 3-step sorting process, and you can use it for sorting your images and filtering them with the help of flags, ratings, stars and color label. That's it for now, and see you in the next lesson. In this lesson we'll make a develop module overview. To do that, let's move here on this tab menu and click on the develop module. We need to choose any photo, or we can just click the D button on keyboard. And now we are in develop module. Develop module looks like the library. It has some differences, but in general it looks the same. We have from the left hand side the panel, on the right hand side, on the top and in the bottom. If I put my mouse here on the edge, I can make this panel bigger or smaller. I recommend you to make the right panel, this one, the biggest you can. It will help you to be more precise when you're editing your images. Also here, let's see what we have on the left panel. We have a navigator which helps us to navigate and see a small preview of our photo. We can just zoom it 1:1, we can fill it on our screen, or we can fit it in our screen so we can see the overall image. Also we have a presets. It's a default develop settings which we can use, let's say, for make our color image and create a black and white color correction. Also we have a snapshots. If I create some snapshot, I can just click here on the plus button, click create, and then I can change the temperature of the image, make it brighter. I can just make her skin more bright. Let's see. And if I click this snapshot once again, I have 2 snapshots and I can compare them, the before and the after. Also, we have the history panel, which show all the settings we've tweaked, all the differences we make in this picture from the import states to the last step we did of creating this snapshot. So I can click on the first step, import, and I see how this image was imported into the Lightroom. That's it for the left panel. Also we have here a collections. If you want to use these collections from the library you created before, you can just select which one you would like to work with, and all the images will appear here on the bottom line. Let's see how it works, like this. Open or collapse these panels with these small triangles, and it will help us to use our display, and it comes really handy sometimes. On the right hand side we see all of our adjustment sliders. We can scroll down and see that there is a lot of adjustment sliders over there, but don't worry, it's really easy to work with color in Lightroom. I'll show it in the next lessons, and just in 1 or 2 hours you'll be able just to completely work in a new way with your images and color correct them. Here we can see the histogram. It shows us how many light is in different areas of our photo, in blacks, in shadows, midtones, highlights and in whites. Also we see here what kind of preview we have. We have the original and the smart preview. We can discard it if we want. I click cancel. Also we have some tools like crop tool. We can crop our image. We can use a healing or clone brush to remove some unwanted pieces on our image. We can also remove the red eyes. We can add gradient filter. We can add radial filter, and we can paint with a brush over our image, give it some painterly look quality. And we can paint over our images just to brighten some areas or to darken them. And after you finished working with these tools, you just need to click done here, and that's it. We can compare our images before and after, like this, the left side on the right side. And if you want to see these images bigger, just collapse this panel on the left hand side and you will see how it looks like. Also, we can switch back to normal view, and here on the bottom line we have like a film strip. It shows us all the images we can choose from and work with. Also here we can use with filters, the same is in the library, with rating, and turn the filters on or off. By default they are just turned off. And also we can reset all our adjustments to move image to its original state. That's it for now, and in the next lesson I'll show you how to color correct your images. In this lesson we will talk about the presets, how to create them, how to load them, and how to work with them. First of all, we can see that here in Lightroom is a bunch of default presets. It's like black and white presets with a blue filter, high contrast, green filter, and so on. Also we can see that there is another kind of black and white presets. Then we see black and white toned presets, and after goes the color presets. Actually they are not so good. I actually like just a few of them, and other are not good. I don't recommend you to use these presets. But as you can see, we have like a user preset tab. It's empty, there is no presets. So let's look how we can create a new one. First of all, I'll reset my image and let's make some adjustments. I make some color temperature adjustments. Don't worry, now I just show you how it works, but in next lessons I'll explain what everything is meaning. When I finished my adjustments, let's compare the before and after. To compare your before and after image, you can just click the slash key above the enter button on your keyboard, and as you can see, here is the before, here is the after. Now if I click this plus button here, it will create for me a new preset. Here in this preset creation of new preset dialog window, we can choose the folder where we want to save our preset. For now I use just my default user presets folder, and I don't recommend you to check this box with autotone, because your preset will not work the same as you can see it here. It will auto-adjust your image, and this is not so good. I click on white balance, I click on check on basic tones, and I check everything except the local adjustment brush presets. Here is the graduated radial filters, I check them off, and also I make sure that everything other is checked. Effects, the lens corrections, and so on. And now I click create. And now, as you can see, we created an untitled preset. To rename it, I click the right button, click rename, and I will just name it like color new one and click OK. Now this preset is named color new one. And for using preset, I can just select any photo without any color correction. And when I click on this preset, as you can see, the photo just became with the same adjustments as I did before. But sometimes it looks not the same as other images because we have a different lighting situation. So to correct any of our presets, I just need to toggle the temperature slider here and to see when the image looks really great. When I'm satisfied with the results, I can compare the before and the after, and that's it. The image is ready and I can just work with another one. In these lessons, I'll show you how to work with basic adjustment sliders to color correct your image. To begin, let's collapse this left panel. Now we can see our image more, and also I'll collapse the upper panel and the bottom panel. Now our image is really big and we can see it clearly, and let's begin. To work with basic corrections, we just open the basic tab here on the right hand side, and we have two treatments to choose work with. It's the color or black and white. If you want to make your image black and white, you just click on black and white. If you want to work with color, let's leave it as it was in the beginning. Also we have white balance selector, the W key tool. I can click on white color and image must become a really right color balance, but it doesn't. So I don't recommend you to use this tool because always it just don't work properly. So I will just undo this step, I'll reset the settings, collapse this panel, And let's see what we have. Here we have the color temperature. First of all, we can move the slider to the left to make our image more colder, or we can move it to the right to make it more warmer. If you don't know what the right balance to choose from, I just recommend you to slide this slider to the left before our image became really blue, then go back to the right side to make it yellow, and you just scroll it back and forth until you find this sweet spot, which is the best suit for your lighting situation. Also, if you have some color tint in your image, like your model's skin look more greenish or more pinky than in real life, you can just use this tint slider to add a complementary color and to balance your image. If you have more green color in shadows or in skin, you can just turn it to the right side. If you have like a lot of pinky color, just scroll it to the left towards green. For this image it's okay, so I will not touch it anymore. After that we have like exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. This is different zones in our image. You can use this auto button, but it don't works so well similar to this white balance selector tool. So let's do it by our hands and with our eyes. To make your image brighter, you can just scroll the exposure slider to the right, or if you want to make it darker, you can scroll it to the left. I'll scroll it to the right just a little bit. And also we can add some contrast to our image with the contrast slider. If your image is already very contrasty, you can turn it left. If you want to add some extra contrast, just slide it to the right. I'll slide it to about +9. Also we have highlights. This is the most highlighted areas of our photos. Add these highlights, or we can just remove them. For this image I'll add a little bit of highlights. Also I want to, let's say, open our shadows, open in brackets. We just add some details to shadows. I call it open in shadows. Also we can add some whites. Our model's skin became a little whiter. And we can also add or remove some blacks. This is the darkest area of our image. The blacks are located over here, where we can see the solid black color. And if I move it here, as you can see, we just add a lot of details in the dark areas of the picture. I'll add just a bit of blacks. And let's compare the before and the after. Here's what we got in this image. The before and the after. Also we have three sliders: clarity, vibrance and saturation. Clarity help us to add some clarity to image, but you need to be careful with the slider, because when you add too much clarity, the skin became unnatural and the image look fake. So I recommend, if you're adding clarity, you can use it on images with no people, or if you have people like on this image, you can add just a bit of clarity, like +5 or +6. Okay, Lightroom, you win, +6. And also vibrance and saturation. Vibrance adds some vibrance to most vibrant colors. It's adding vibrance really softly, because saturation adds saturation to every single color on image, and the image became really unnatural. But if you use the vibrance, it looks more natural and its effect is not so strong as effect of saturation. So for this purpose, I'll add a little bit of vibrance and reduce a little bit of saturation. And let's compare the before and the after. And in the next lesson, we will talk about tone curve and HSL. Now let's talk about the tone curve. It is similar to Photoshop, and if you enrolled in my Mastering Photoshop Actions course, you're already familiar with this curve. You know how to use it, and you know how much impact on picture you can create just with toning and adding color in Photoshop. But if you're not familiar with curves, let's talk how we can use them. First of all, it have also the highlights, lights, darks and shadows part. All of them are highlighted. If I put the mouse above the sliders, you can see where they are located. Highlights is the top part, and we can just add highlights just to that part of our curve, and it makes the skin really shiny in the areas where the sun and the light hits it. The lights areas are a little bit lower than the highlights, and they occupies most part of the image where we can see the light. Next goes the darks, it's like darker parts of the image, and the shadows are the darkest ones. So we can use this curve to balance our image in the light and dark parts and create it really soft and nice. By the way, you can use the sliders or you can just make a dot on the curve and move it. When you finished with tone curve, let's go to HSL, is for hue, saturation and luminance. With the hue we can just move colors from one color to the next one. This is red, orange, yellow. If we slide a red color towards a right side, it became more orangey. If we slide the red towards the left side, it became more magenta. It likes go over here. And if we, let's say, move green to the right side, it became aqua. If we move to the left side, it becomes yellow. So with the help of these sliders, you can adjust colors in your image. In this example, I'll move the red towards left, make the skin more natural, and as in this picture are mostly just a few colors, I will show you on her skirt how to make this blue color of flowers more aqua. As you can see, now it became aqua, and if I scroll it to the right, it became more purple. So let's make these flowers more aqua. After that we have the saturation. We can desaturate the blue color. As you can see, her skirt is a little bit bluish. This is because of light reflections, and if I desaturate the blue color, it just became white, and you will never think that here is some other colors in this part of the image. But if I reset this, you can see that the skirt became a little bit bluish. So let's see. Now it's look much better. Also, I can saturate or desaturate her skin more vibrant or a little bit desaturated. I'll make it like this. And if you have some problems with light when your model's skin is not so perfect, a little bit dark, you can add just some luminance to the orange channel, because orange, this is the skin channel. I'll add a little bit of luminance to the orange channel, and as you can see, the before and after, our image became more bright and looks better. And also I can add some shine to her lips, adding some luminance to the red channel. And let's compare the before and the after. It's much better. You can also switch to color or to black and white here in this panel. If you're working with black and white pictures, you can change the color representation in black and white pictures with the same sliders. The next part is split toning. Let me go back to color mode, and in split toning we can add some movie-like split toning or color toning to our image. To do that, I click here on this rectangle and choose the orange color. Now I click on the bottom rectangle and I choose the blue color. After I close this dialog window and scroll my balance to the right for 100%. As you can see, now the image doesn't look so great, but if I reduce the saturation of the orange color, let's say 12, and I reduce the saturation of blue to, let's say, 30, now we can compare the before and the after. It makes the image looks like in the movies when you add some orange to the skin and you add some blue to the darkest parts of the image where the shadows are. As you can see, with this toggling the switch, we can see the before and the after. And let's zoom back. If you are not satisfied with the result, you can just scroll the saturation towards 0, and it will make this effect a little bit softer. So that's it for now, and in the next lesson I'll show you how to add sharpening to your images. In this lesson I'll show you how to sharpen your images. To sharpen your image, first of all you need to scroll down to this detail panel, and to see all of the details of your image you can click here, or you can just zoom for 100%. Make sure that the zoom is 1:1 or 100%. Now you can see all the details of the picture, and here we have the amount of sharpening. You can just add it towards the right side, and the image became really sharp. I recommend you to use it not more than 60 or 70. For me, 60 works the best. But you can just experiment with your camera and find some sweet spot, because for some cameras 40 is okay, for some cameras 30 is okay, but for my camera I noticed that 55 to 60 is the best part. Also we have the radius, how much details we add with the sharpening. If you add this radius like to 3, your image became more rough. So I never use the slider, it's always in 1.0. Also we have the detail, how much details we want to see. Also add some extra details. If you see on the skin structure with a lot of details, the skin became unnatural. So I recommend you to use it somewhere around 25 to 35, not more. And masking helps us to mask out some elements of sharpening and make it more realistic. So you can just add a little bit masking for about 15, and now the skin looks really good. After all of this, we also can remove the noise. If you have some noisy images, if you are shooting in dark rooms, or if you are shooting in some dark conditions and you have a lot of color noise or luminance noise, you can reduce it here with the noise reduction panel. The first slider is for luminance. If you have a lot of luminance noise, like in your background or in some dark areas, let's see here, we have some little noise. I'm not sure you will see it on your screen because I was shooting this image on 100 ISO, but definitely you should try it on your own images. To reduce noise, you just need to scroll this slider towards right for about plus 40. And the noise is gone. Also you can reduce or add some details to these parts where the noise reduction applies. For me the best is the default settings 50. And also you can reduce noise depending on some contrasty edges. You can add about 10 to 20 and it works fine. And the other slider is for color noise. You can reduce your color noise if you have some in your images. Just slide it for about not more than 50%. By default it's on 25, so if you already have a noise in your images, you will reduce this noise just by default after Lightroom imports your image. But you can make it like 35. And the same, you can adjust the details, how nice this adjustments of noise reduction works, and you can add some smoothness, because color noise sometimes it's not so smooth after reduction. You can just fine-tune it with this slider. Also we have a color correction, and in the next lesson we will talk about lens corrections and adding some extra effects to your images. In this lesson I'll show you how to use the lens corrections and the effects tabs. Let's see how it works. First of all, we need to click here on the profile and mark this checkbox with enable profile corrections. After that, Lightroom transforms our image. It just removes this vignetting on the edges, these dark parts of the image, and Lightroom just deletes this geometric distortion. After that, you can click on Setup and switch to Auto Setup. The Lightroom automatically chooses your camera, your lens, your focal length of your lens, depending on which lens you are using in your image. You can also slide this distortion slider to add or remove some distortion from your image and to make your image really straight. And also you can add or remove some vignetting to make some accents like on the center of the image. If you want this girl to be the brightest part of the image, you can just darken the sides of the image and it will look much better. Also you can go to basic. Here we have an option to remove chromatic aberration. We have an option to upright our images, just to straighten them up automatically. If I click auto, Lightroom automatically, as you can see, uprights our image, and every lines are really straight after this correction. Or you can go to color and fringe your image, remove chromatic aberrations. If you don't know what is this, I'll explain. When the sun shines from the back of, let's say, our model, and through her hair. On the contrasty edges where the dark colors and the bright color meets came some small lines like purple hue or magenta hue, and with this option you can just delete them. And also you have manual correction. If you want to manual correct vertically or horizontally, you can scale your image and so on. I will reset it because I don't need this kind of transformation. And let's go to effects panel. Here we have a post-crop vignetting. It's a very handy option when you want to make accent to the center of your frame. If I'll scroll this slider to the left, as you can see, Lightroom adds dark edges on my image, and now the model became the brightest one in the whole frame, and it's look really nice. You can choose where is the midpoint, how round or rectangle is this vignetting, see how you can change the feather, and also you can change the highlights, how highlighted these edges are. Also we can add some art effect. This is grain effect. If you want to add a grain like a film grain, this is the place where you should start. But my recommendation is, if you use the film grain, make your image black and white. It will look more natural and more realistic on the black and white images. And let's say if you add a grain to amount of 50, you can then change the size of the grain. You can make it bigger, more rough, or you can make it smaller. And you can also toggle the roughness, how rough your grain will look like. If you want to make soft, realistic grain, I recommend you to make it like 50 and 30. It looks really good. And after that, you have a dehaze. If you have some haze on your image, you can just add this haze, make it foggy, or remove it, make it more contrasting. And in the next lesson we will talk about camera calibration and some art colors. Now let's talk about camera calibration and adding some really interesting and nice color schemes on your image. To work with camera calibration, let's reset all of our settings. I'll show you just from the box how it looks like. First of all, I will show you the process. It shows how Lightroom interprets your image. You have three different options. The first one is 2003, it's the oldest process. The next one is 2010, it's like the 2010 process. And the 2012 is the current, the latest process for interpreting your images. I recommend you to use the last one. If you choose, let's say 2010, let's go here, and you can see now we have just exposure, recovery, fill light and blacks. This is from the previous versions of Lightroom, and we have brightness and contrast. If I turn to 2012, now we see exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. So the interface of Lightroom changes depending on this process. Also we have profiles, we have Adobe Standard, Camera Faithful, Camera Neutral and so on. It depends on how Lightroom interprets your image on profile, because your camera have different profiles and Lightroom want to match them by these profiles which are included with Lightroom. Now let's talk about tinting. We have the same slider tint as in the top of this panel, but this tint, it works on all colors, and this tint works just on shadows. So if you want to add some greenish to your shadows, you should definitely use this slider, not the first one. Or if you want to add some pinky to the shadows, you can slide it to the right side. For now, for me, it's okay. And let's talk about primaries. We have three primaries, the red one, the green primary and the blue one. If I want to achieve some artistic colors, I definitely will play with these sliders. There's no rules how to use them, but I'll show you something I find really handy and I use a lot in my images. If I click on the red hue and slide it to about 25 to the right, and then I reduce the saturation to about the same amount, it don't need to be so perfect, sometimes you can just make it like 23 or 20. Now, as you can see, this is a model skin and the whole background looks a little more interesting. These colors are like in movies or cartoons, and I click on the blue hue and slide it to the left side, and then I add some saturation. Now you can see that my colors changed a bit and they looking really interesting. If I slide this green primary, I can desaturate green and I can make it and looks like this. And now let's compare the before and the after. On this image you can notice that it just don't make a lot of difference, but let's switch to another image. Let's say I'll open the image where I have a lot of green, and let's go to develop module. I click D on my keyboard and let's do the same. As here you can see is a tree, it have a lot of green cast on her skin, on her face. I can just add some magenta to the shadows, and now I balance the skin color now looks more natural. Now let's do the same as I did before. I add the red hue primary to +29 and I reduce the saturation to -21, and now I do opposite here. I move blue hue to the left and I add some saturation to this blue hue. Also, I can play with a green slider. I can a little desaturate green and I can make something like this. Let's compare the before and the after. If you are not satisfied or you want to make some small adjustments, you can just reduce the vibrance or add the vibrance a bit and reduce some saturation until you have a natural, healthy looking skin which looks real. And that's it. Let's compare the before and the after. This is how the camera calibration panel works, and it helps us to achieve art colors. In this lesson, let's talk about the local adjustment tools. They are located over here on the top right panel. Let's click on the crop overlay. This one helps us to crop our image. As you can see, I can just move it as I want and I can crop image. But on the right hand side I have this lock. If I lock it, the aspect ratio doesn't change when I move this frame, and I can just put our model in this rule of thirds intersection and I click done. Also I can make this image straight. If I click here on the crop again and I click on straighten tool, I can just make a straight line on some object which I know is straight, for this instance this block on the background, and as you can see now everything is really straight. The ground here is straight, this vertical line is straight, and when I'm satisfied I click done. And here is the before, here is the after. Now let's move further. Also we have a spot removal tool. We can remove some garbage from our image. We can adjust the size, we can choose clone or heal. I recommend you to use heal mode, and for this instance let's make this one disappear. As you can see, Lightroom just patches from some part of the image. I can move this part and I show Lightroom where is the destination I want to heal it from. After that I click enter and you can see the before and the after. This one just disappeared. Next one we have a red eyes. If you have a red eyes on your image, you can just click on red eyes and Lightroom will delete that red dots. And next we have the gradient filter, the radial filter and the adjustment brush. They all works the same. The gradient tool gives us ability to add some gradients. We can just make gradient like this, but if I pull it from here, I can just make this side darker, and as you can see this gradient adds some adjustments like exposure, contrast, highlights and so on to this part of image. The radial filter works the same, but it just creates a shape of a circle or ellipse, and we can put our model inside and like make everything darker or brighter outside of this ellipse. But my favorite one is the adjustment brush tool. It helps us to brush on every part of the image we would like. If I want to make something brighter, I just can add some exposure, paint over the trees. I just want to see what's here. Then I can press enter. It creates a new brush. I can paint once again on the leaves, on the trees. I can add some contrast to these parts of the image, and also I can change the color temperature. I can make it more warmer or colder. Let's make it a little bit warmer. I can add or reduce some tint. Let's say I'll add some magenta to this image. I can do everything with these sliders, but just locally on the places where I paint. To change the size of the brush, you just scroll the slider. Also we have feather, how feathered this effect would look like. We have a flow if you use a pen tablet, and also we have a density, which depends on a pen pressure. When you're done, you just click done, or you always go back to the adjustment tool and you see these little dots. When you click on them, you will see the mask, and you can always change these effects. And you can choose another dot, and you can change effects of this dot around this mask where I was painting for the first time. That's it for now, and let's move to the next lesson. In this lesson, I'll show you how to synchronize settings between different images. Let's go to the library model. I click the G button, and let's choose any image. Let's say this one. Now it doesn't have any adjustments, so I go to develop module and I'll add the preset we created before. Now I add a little temperature, make it more warm. I'll move the tint towards magenta a little bit, and when I'm done, I'll see how the image looked before and how it looks after. You see the difference. Now I go back to the library model, I click J button on my keyboard, and holding Shift or Ctrl, if you want to select just multiple images in a row but just pick some images you would like. Holding Shift, I select a series of images, and this first image, as you can see, it have this develop adjustments inside. And if I click synchronize settings, not metadata, be careful about it when you're in library module. Let's see, you need to click sync settings. You have all the settings, and except local adjustment settings, except crop, and except spot removal, everything is fine. I click synchronize, and all of the images are now with the same adjustments as the first image. And let's go to the develop module and compare the before and the after. Yeah, we see that the adjustments apply to every single image in a row which I chose before. Now I go back to library, and we can do this with any series of images. You just need to work with one image to develop it, to add some color adjustments. Then you select multiple images, click sync settings, click synchronize, and you are done. That's it for now, and let's move to the next lesson. In this lesson, I'll make a short overview of other modules which are present in Lightroom. I already tell you a lot about this module. The next module is the develop module. It's for developing our images, to work with color, with light, to add some local adjustments, and so on. Then let's go to the map module. This module helps us to tag our images on the map. As you can see, here is the map of the world, and we can choose any of our images. If you have GPS coordinates, you can just see where this image was shot. My camera doesn't have the GPS meter, so I don't know where they are shot, but you can add this information by your own using these fields on the right hand side. The next module is a book module. This is created for designing a book. If you want to print your images in a photo book, you can definitely use this module. Here is a lot of layouts. You can open this panel and you can see there is a lot of options, a lot of layouts. They even have the option to print your book on the blurb service. Here you can see the price. You can save it as PDF, as JPEG, and use it on every single printing lab you wish. So if you're interested in printing, you should definitely check out this module and use it for designing your books. The next module is a slideshow. If you want to make a slideshow from your images, you can just use this module. You select the images you like, you can add music, you can add some text, you can add some movement, and Lightroom will create a really nice slideshow. Actually, you can even play it inside Lightroom, add some music, and you can export this like video or export this like a PDF presentation. Next module is for printing. If you have a printer at home, you can print your images with the help of this module. You also have preferences of paper, of size, of guides. You can add some text on your images. You can change the orientation and so on. And the last module is a web module. This is very interesting because in this module you can create your own website just inside Lightroom. All you have to do is to select the images you like. You need to choose the preset for your website. Lightroom have a lot of presets like HTML or Flash, and after you are done, you can just export or even upload to FTP of your hosting, and voila, you have a ready-to-go website just in a few minutes. That's it for now. I hope you liked this tutorial, and let's move to the next section about exporting your images and saving it for web or for printing. In this lesson, I'll show you how you can export your images and save them as JPEG or other file formats. For this, you need to click on the export button over there, or if you are in develop module, you just can click with your right mouse button, go to export, export. And now you see this dialog window which helps us to make some settings for our destination. First, let's go to export location. Here we can choose our export location. It can be a specific folder. Then you click on choose and you choose where you want your images to be saved. You can also create a subfolder like new folder for images. Let's name it like that. Lightroom will auto import these images inside catalog, and after export you will have them inside your catalog and you can see and work with them further. And what to do when you finish exporting your images. And this tab shows us what to do with the existing files. Lightroom can ask you what to do. It can overwrite without warning. Be careful with this. It can skip or choose a new name to the exported file. I choose ask what to do, always to know what's going on. Next, you can rename your files, choose some preset or edit your own, rename your files, choose the extension, lowercase or uppercase. Here is some preferences for video, but we are not working with videos. And the most important tab is file settings. Here we can choose JPEG, PSD, TIFF, DNG or original. If you want to upload your images to web, to internet, you definitely choose JPEG as RGB. The color space always need to be sRGB, and after that the colors, after you upload your images to internet, will preserve the same. The quality, let's always set to 100%. We can also limit file size to what size you wish, but the quality is not the best in this scenario. Also, we can resize our image, make it smaller. If you upload, let's say, to Facebook, you can resize it to 2100 by 2100 pixels, and this is the best resolution for Facebook. And you can choose which resolution you want, but it actually doesn't depend a lot. You can choose don't enlarge if you have smaller images than your dimensions. Next, you can add some sharpening. If you want to print your images, you can choose matte or glossy paper and choose the amount of sharpening. But if you are exporting for web, just choose screen and the amount. I usually use high. I like how it looks after export. Then we decide what to do with our metadata, to leave all metadata or just leave the copyright only part. I choose leave all metadata. Remove person info, remove location info, and write keywords as Lightroom hierarchy. Actually, just leave it as is. And we can add some watermark. If you like watermarks, I actually don't like them. You can just type here your name and it will appear on the bottom side of your image, or you can just change wherever you would like this watermark to be. You can change where it will be situated and you click save. so I don't use watermarks, so I will not do anything. And after that, you just click what to do after Lightroom finished exporting your files. I can click Show in Explorer, and now when I click Export, Lightroom exports this one file, and when it's done, now I can see it exported to my hard drive, and I have a JPEG with the size 2100 pixels by 1400 pixels. That's it, and now I'm ready to upload this image to internet. Thank you for watching this course. I hope you enjoy it, and see you in my other courses like about Photoshop or promoting yourself as a photographer. See you soon. My name is Ustin Kompanets, and I wish you a great day. Congratulations, you made it so far and finished my course about Lightroom CC. In this course we learn everything from the beginning to the end steps about retouching your photos. I showed you how to import your photos, how to sort them, how to tag them. Also, we know now how to color correct it with the help of white balance, hue saturation, luminance, with camera calibration and other tools which Lightroom has inside. If you have any questions on this course, you can post them in our closed Facebook group, and if you hadn't joined it yet, just send me an email and I'll give you access. Also, it will be very kind of you if you write a review on this course. I'll appreciate it because it will help me and encourage me to create new, better courses for you, and you will improve your photography skills as well. So write me a review right now, and see you in the next courses. In this bonus video, I want to give you some information about other courses which I create on Udemy. The first one is about working with Photoshop Actions. This is a really interesting crash course about how you can speed up your workflow working in Photoshop. Because a lot of times you need just to repeat a lot of operations you make with your photos, and it takes a huge amount of time. But with help of Actions, you can just push one button, and after you click play, Photoshop can make like hundreds of automatical steps without disturbing you, and to make it with your hand. In Mastering Photoshop Actions course, I not just tell you how to use this action, I actually give you 91 actions which you can use in your Photoshop. And also, if you work with commercial photography and you want to make money with it, I have another course which is named Full Promotion Package to Get Clients. In that course, I'll show you step by step how you can promote yourself to achieve more clients and more money in your photographic business. So, if you're interested in one of these courses, just feel free to enroll, and also I'll see you in our closed Facebook community where you can ask me any questions. Thank you for participating in this course, and see you in other ones. My name is Ustin Kompanets, and see you soon.